Hello, welcome back to the channel. Watford versus Derby County is the next matchup for us this weekend. Now, before we dive into my thoughts on the game, we're going to hear from Jake at the Rams Talk podcast to get the views from an opposition fan.
Hi, it's Jake from Rams Talk Podcast here to give you a little bit of insight into Derby ahead of the clash of Watford this weekend. So it's going to be an interesting game. I think Derby go into it, won 4 of the last 6 games, looking really good, starting to pick up our home form a little bit, which has been a weakness. But Derby away from home have been a different animal all season. 8 wins away from home so far this season, which is, pretty much the best in the league, if not the best. And Derby just look a different side at the moment. There's a lot of confidence. There's a lot of belief. Players like Patrick Adjumang, Ryan Brewster scoring goals week after week. And we just look a different side to the one you faced earlier in the season. Like I said, away from home, we're a different animal already. We've moved up to 6th for the first time all season. We've ended a game week in the top 6. So we're starting to grow as a side. And I think that confidence is really there at the moment. Injuries wise, Derby don't have too many. Jakob Zetterstrom, the goalkeeper, has been out with a virus for quite a while now. Been out 3-4 weeks. It's quite funny. We've had 3 goalkeepers play this season, and all 3 have kept a clean sheet at some point. Richard O'Donnell, the third choice, and Josh Vickers, who, if Zetterstrom isn't fit, will feature in goal. He gets a clean sheet at the weekend. Apart from that, Sondre Langus, the centre back, is injured. He's probably our best defender. But Matt Clark and Dion Sanderson have been excellent throughout the season, so that's not too much of a worry. And I think Watford are a good side. I mean, 3 points behind Derby at the moment. It's going to be a really tight game. I think it's 2 genuinely decent sides, but I think I'd hope actually that Derby would take advantage of the fact that our away form is so good. We've brought in the likes of Sammy Schmodix, we've brought in Oscar Fraulo from Mönchengladbach, we've brought in a few other players as well that look really dangerous and really important for Derby at the moment. So, yeah, I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be an interesting game, and I think it's going to be one of those where it's going to be a moment that wins it. So hopefully the game's good. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into Derby. And after the weekend, all the best for the rest of the season. Thank you.
Once again, great to hear from Jake there at the Rams Talk podcast. And what a season Derby County are having. A really likeable club and fan base, actually, in my opinion. Of course, managed as well by former Hornets man John Eustace. And I'm just looking at the championship table on my phone in front of me here. As Jake alluded to, Derby sitting pretty on 48 points in 6th position. Watford a little bit further down the table. We're in 12th on 45 points. And in my opinion, it's really make or break now for the playoffs. Derby County are a promotion challenger for us. They are our direct rivals and competition in the hunt for the top 6. And from pretty much, I would say, 16th position in the championship all the way up to 6th place, you've got about 10 teams there competing for one place. Hull City in 5th are on 54 points. Above them, you have Ipswich, Millwall, Middlesbrough, and Coventry. So you've got all these teams competing for one position. And as I said, I do feel this is make or break now for Watford. The squad is pretty much fully fit, bar 1 or 2 players. And Ed Steele's job is to get a tune out of this group. And this is where we'll come on to my predicted 11. Okay, what you can see on the screen now was our lineup against Preston North End in Ed Steele's first game in charge. You can see we had the 4 centre-backs. In defence, Stephen Imfuni, our Manchester City loanee, was shifted over to left fullback. We had the centre-back pairing of Matty Pollock, who's back from injury, and Saba Goglachidze, making his first Watford start. And then James Abankwah, of course, over at right fullback. The 2 deeper line midfielders, you could argue, were Papi Mendy and Edu Kayembe. Loser just ahead, Othmane Mama and Georgie Shakfatatse out wide. and our big Dane Luca Kiramgard up front. This isn't what I would go with against Derby County. I'll show you that on screen now. All right, here we go. Time to make my predicted 11 for Ed Still's second game in charge of the Hornets. Both teams on screen now. That was Derby's most recently selected 11. And let's go through Watford from back to front, shall we? Starting with Egil Selvik in goal. No questions about his selection whatsoever. I'm very comfortable with him remaining the number one. There is going to be a change at left back for me though, and that is going to be in place of Stephen Imfuni. He is going to shift instead to left centre back, with Matty Pollock to the right-hand side of him, which would mean Saba Goglachidze coming out of the Watford team. And I thought Saba had a great performance, actually, on the whole against Preston. He probably doesn't even deserve to be dropped. However, I do feel having a natural left footer in one of your two centre-backs is really key. So that is why I brought Bola back into the team and gone with Imfuni next to Pollock. And of course, we don't yet know the status on Jeremy Ngakia. If he was fit, he would probably come in over James Abankwah. Of course, we have Jeremy Petrie, who could play here as well. But I'm quite comfortable with Abankwah at the moment. In midfield is where I would make a couple of alterations. I'm not entirely comfortable with Eddie Kayembe continuing to start games for Watford. He's still far better than Musa Sissoko ever was. I've got to make that perfectly clear. But I think for the longer term at the club, Kayembe cannot be starting matches anymore for us, especially with the introduction soon of Pierre Ekwa and Eduardo Bove returning to fitness. So I think it's time Kayembe comes out of the team, and I would shift Loser actually over to that side to partner Papi Mendy. Who starts in the 10 if we're to stick with this 4-2-3-1? For me, it is Georgie Shatfatatse. I've not been a fan of the experiment of Georgie over on this left-hand side. I don't feel he's entirely comfortable there. For me, if he plays slightly deeper and then drives at defences centrally, I think that's where he finds his best form at Watford. And we saw that prior to his injury as well. So from back to front, we've got Mark Bola, Imfuni, Pollock and Abankwah. In midfield, as our slightly deeper players, we've gone with Imran Loser and Papi Mendy. Georgie Shatfatatse just ahead in the 10. I'm very comfortable with keeping Othmane Mama over on the left-hand side. He took his goal really, really nicely. Over on the right, though, is where we need to see this man. Kwadwo Bar, KB, he needs minutes, he needs a start, and after his cameo performance last weekend, I think he very much deserves that opportunity, and hopefully Ed Still will see the light as well. So I've gone with Kwadwo Bar to start over on this right hand side, and for me a change up front is required as well. Yes, Luca is our top goal scorer this season. I get that. His first time finishing is really good at times, but I've been really disappointed actually with his body language and his ability to get himself up for certain duels as well. I'm not quite sure he's putting in 100% effort in a Watford shirt at the moment, and I think that's a real big shame actually, considering that the season is very much salvageable. So Luca Kiramgard comes out for me, and purely because of his work rate and energy and pressing from the front, I think Mamadou Doumbia deserves another start. Yes, he's not the finished product per se, we all know that, but he's got a goal in him. He works really hard, he presses well, and he's relentless for 90 minutes. So that would be my Watford team. Selvik, Bola, Imfuni, Pollock and Abankwah. Imran Loser and Papi Mendy. Georgie Shatfatatse just ahead in the 10. Othmane Mama on the left. Kwadwo Bar on the right. And then Mamadou Doumbia up front. We of course also have the return of Nestri Irankunda in this one. And it would be great to have him as an option coming off the bench. Pierre Ekwa should be nearing fitness soon, and Eduardo Bove also made his first appearance against Preston. So it's looking quite positive at the moment, actually. The second 45 certainly inspired confidence into me, but it's still been a very long time since Watford last won a match. That was Birmingham all the way back on New Year's Day, January 1st. And Ed Steele's task is to turn this sinking ship around. So let me know if you agree with my team in the comments down below. Okay, preview done. It is score prediction time. What am I going to go with in this one? Well, actually, for once, I'm going to be quite positive and optimistic. Forget about what Jake said earlier. Derby County do have a very good away record. 8 wins away from Pride Park in the league this season. But they are no match for Ed Steele and his mighty Orns. We're getting back on the promotion train, and I'm going to say it's going to be a 3-1 win to the Golden Boys. Off Mane Marma with another goal. I think Doumbia will bag as well. And why not a goal for Eduardo Bove off the bench? That would be absolutely fantastic. And Agyemang for Derby, I'll throw in a cheeky goal for him as well. So a 3-1 win to Watford. Let me know your predicted 11 and score predictions in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And lastly, a massive shout out to Jacob Coleshaw at WD18. He announced in the past day or so that he is leaving due to his work and life commitments, which is absolutely fair enough. And I've got to say, Jacob is one of the loveliest people I've ever met in the Watford fan base. He sits up by me in the upper Graham Taylor stand, and it's been a pleasure knowing him and creating content alongside him in the Watford space over the past few years. And I'm sure Sam Uko and Charlie Zazera over in WD18 will continue flying the flag. And they have the Mental Health World Cup in May as well. So I'd encourage all of you to donate to that, as it's a wonderful cause going towards Hertfordshire Mind, and I'm sure some other charities as well. And yeah, it's a worthwhile thing to do. So yeah, a big shout out to Jacob. I wish him all the best for his career, and he is going right to the very top. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye bye.